and welcome everyone to the Board Game Design Variety Hour. I'm your host, Matthew Dunstan. How is everyone doing on this fine Monday afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world? Hi, Robert. How are you going? Felios, nice to see you. And Alex. All early birds today. Well done. Sorry, I'm ever so slightly late. Afternoon, Robin. Or Rumbly. No idea whether you actually like being called that or not, Robin. Or if it's maybe something just this come in this sort of Twitch world. But I hope everyone's doing well. Hey, Mandela, how are you going? Welcome, welcome. I hope everyone's doing well and has had a nice weekend. What have people been up to? It's funny, all the days, you know, I was sort of saying on Friday, it's sort of nice to have a stream at the end of the week to have a little bit of division between, you know, the nominal work week and the weekend. But I have to admit that they are becoming more and more collided for me. So, which is good and bad. I'm taking the weekdays maybe a little bit easier than I normally would, but work sort of bleeds into the weekend without me knowing what I'm doing. We've been playing a lot of, in terms of recent games, we're playing a lot of Carpe Diem, which is a game from Ravensburger/Alea. Steppenfeld game came out, I believe, a few years ago now, probably 2019. Yeah, we played it about 4 or 5 times, Teresa and I, over the past couple of days. So that's been sort of what we've been focused on. We've got the old edition. It's actually just been republished with a sort of new, fancier art thing. There are a few rather puzzling not graphic design, sort of illustration issues with our current version, mainly just in terms of colors. They tend to use a couple of, it's funny, there are 2 separate instances in the game where there are 2 colors which are important that they are distinct for the game, but are actually very hard to distinguish. Hey, Zate, how are you going? Welcome, welcome. Oh, you like Carpe Diem as well? Excellent, excellent. Yes, we've been enjoying it a lot. Hey, Rory, how are you going? Welcome, welcome. Robin, you beat Luck for Your Landlord. Excellent. Congratulations. It's always a nice feeling. You're going back to Slay the Spire, which you can't be able to pass Act 2. Sounds like a very a good goal. Robert says of Carpe Diem, I like most Feld games. I like Carpe Diem. I like most Feld games. Just wasn't sure why there was that star thing instead of just making the sets of tiles next to each other. Well, yes, that's another puzzling thing, and which I believe has been also changed in the new version, where you move around a ring. It's sort of interesting. Hi, Jay. How are you going? It's an interesting thing because it's for those who don't know Carpe Diem. Let me find a picture of the board. It's funny because it's something that actually comes from me doing graph theory, or if anyone else knows this particular, sorry, something in my throat. I'm just trying to find can't find an image of the old board now. Maybe we only have the new board. Maybe that's all what's possible now. Thank you. I will hydrate. Yes, good idea. Thanks. I'm trying to check the I'm trying to check the kind of feed a little bit better. As you can tell, I have not actually upgraded yet changed to Streamlabs or something like that, which will have all these things. That was going to be my reward for the weekend, finishing a few things, but I didn't quite get around to it. Hey, Nicola, how are you going? I'm trying to find this image of anyway, I mean, for those who don't know, the board in Carpe Diem looks like this. You have a ring. You have some tiles that are available in a ring. But in the first edition, oh god, really, I've got something in my throat. Apologies. Yeah, they had this star sort of thing where if you had someone here, I'm not sure anyone could see. Well, if you had a pawn where the blue person is, you would have to move across the circle to essentially, like, you would choose between 2 of the ones that was furthest away. And in the new version, they don't do that. You move to adjacent around the circle. And interestingly, what you know from graph theory is that these are equivalent graphs. They all consist of 7 vertices, so like 7 places. Each vertice has 2 edges that are connected to it, and it's a complete graph. You can travel around to each vertex without visiting the same thing. And basically, graph theory tells you it doesn't matter where you put the vertices and how you sort of cross over edges and things like this. If all the connectivities are the same, the degree of connectivity and the number of vertices are the same, then you have identical graphs. And so it's this funny thing which comes straight from graph theory that you know, whatever in the first edition, you know, and I was sort of thinking about it. I wonder if it's something, you know, that we all have as game designers. You have some kind of clever idea, and you think, oh yeah, this is great. This is a great way to do this tile selection thing. And I wonder if Sonnenfeld had that idea. It's like, oh yes, you have to cross the circle, and he thought it was great, and it worked, and it works well. And it just sort of was never questioned in any point of design. Nobody said, well, you know, it's exactly the same as going around the circle, which is, it's just sort of funny how that worked out. But yeah, anyway, so graph theory was useful at that point. Alex says, I wonder if it started off that you couldn't move adjacent. Maybe, yeah, possibly. Although, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe it's. I'd love to, if anyone could find, you know, if anyone's done an interview, or if anyone's going to interview Stefan in the end, in the future rather. I'd love to hear the background for that. Maybe I should ask someone at Ravensburger and see if I get an answer. Yeah. I am missing. Am I just trying to catch up with chat? Oh, there's a thread about it. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure there is a thread about it. But I wonder if does that thread contain the answer as to like the origin story of the somewhat confusing Rondel. But anyway, but we really enjoy it. I must say it's quite, as a 2-player game, it's quite cutthroat. It's one of those games where you're often, because they, you know, it's quite a fun drafting mechanism, because you have these 4 tiles at each place, and in 2 players, simply once 2 tiles are taken from a particular location, then all the remaining tiles are discarded. And it's a great way to have really interesting tension, because you don't have to be hate drafting something to affect your opponent. You can take a tile, cause the other that you want, and cause the other ones to be discarded. So you're looking for moves that might be good for you and you know, also sort of negatively impact your opponent. But it can then feel very, very tense, which I think it's right on the borderline for us in terms of that kind of tension. But yes. Okay, so Mendeley says he just didn't notice it was the same. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like, once you have something fixed in your mind, you don't question it. I think there is definitely a lesson there, you know, to kind of question everything, I guess, you know. But it's interesting how you can just get stuck on things in design, and you think it's a great solution for something, and yeah, and then it just and people can miss it, and we're all human. And I think there was also an interesting thread on Twitter about somebody had made some disparaging comments about like graphic design or something on a card in a published game, and sort of said like, who missed this? That person should be fired. But you realize that, yeah, like everyone's human, and so, sometimes it's you know, you just miss things. It's not incompetence. It's just human nature. Can't do much about it. Zayt says, we tried both and prefer the start. It makes you think differently about the movement, even though it hasn't got a different role. Well, I mean, that's it. I'm sure there must be some sort of interesting psychological effect to that, because I mean, it is identical. Yeah, it's just sort of interesting. Yeah, how that might affect how you think about the game. Maybe, yeah, maybe we should have some sort of like study of all people who prefer Star versus Circle and see how it goes. Mandela, he said, I guess this is Stefan. I didn't see the Circle while developing the game. Congratulations. However, it makes no difference to the game. It's relatively easy to plan your moves ahead, even with the Star. And as already written, it is clearer for bouncing. Yeah, I mean, I guess the point was that you have, like, when you have empty spots, you bounce, like you keep going. Although I would argue that a ring is also pretty clear, because you just skip past all the things that are empty. But anyway, yes, it's design efficiency. If it's not broke, well, yeah, but you might also say it's sort of design complication. You know, why have a more complicated solution when you could have a, you know, a simpler thing. Anyway, this is not a stream about Carpe Diem, but it is. I mean, despite all of that. And the most absolute, I mean, I don't want to take, I mean, this is probably all on BGG, but the one thing I can't quite excuse, and I'm quite surprised happened, was that you have 2 sets of tiles in the game. Basically, there are these tiles that, there are 4 rounds, and it's very well designed, because it's a game of making sort of connected shapes. And in the last round, of course, you want to finish everything. You don't want to open up new connections. So they actually have a different set of tiles for the last round as the rest. They kind of work the same, but they have, you know, the kind of combinations mean that it works better in the last round. And for some absolutely puzzling reason, you have to be able to sort these tiles all the time. They chose just 2 very, very similar shades of green. in poor light, you cannot tell them apart at all. In good light, it's still quite difficult. That's the thing I can't really explain, and I can't believe that was kind of it might be one of these things where, again, like something on a screen looks much more distinct than something like when it's printed. There may have been some sort of difference in the actual like color fidelity and things like that. But it's also it's a lesson of like double encoding. Like if you want people to be able to tell something, then use a shape and a color. Don't just use color to be able to differentiate. Oh, I see. So there's some. I wish designers would stop trying to simplify anything. Yeah. Yes, exactly. As I said, the final season pieces are only end pieces to help you close stuff. And just drew a line across the back of all the winter tiles. Yeah, you have to deface your own game to make it work. But anyway, all those things aside, it's a really fantastic game. I felt like it was a strange one because I am a big fan of Feld as well. Although I have to admit, I've recently been less generally impressed with his newer games. And for whatever reason, I actually hadn't. I only got Carpe Diem last year. And it came out in 2018, so that's like a year and a half or whatever. And I think I'd got to this point and I was like, oh, Feld, I don't think he's doing much interesting stuff. I don't need to buy the games anymore. But yeah, this feels like a real return to sort of form for him, I would say. And it's actually a fairly approachable game. It's not particularly complex. It doesn't take too long. So I guess that was a quick review without anyone asking me for one. But yeah, really would recommend, actually. And glad that it got a new version. Hopefully it fixes some of those issues. Yeah. So Robin was playing. I'm sure it felt right at the time. Get out, Nicola. You've been banned. No. Robin played Ginkopolis. Oh, I see. Is that you were one of the rare people who had a version of Ginkopolis? I understand it was very difficult to get. Fantasy Realms, fantastic game. Trails to Tucana. I haven't played Trails to Tucana, but I have seen it played. And Floor Plan. Sounds like a really nice collection. I'm quite interested in Ginkopolis. I mean, it's one of these games that's a lot of people speak very well of, but I actually still somehow don't know how it works, really. I need to, maybe after this I'll go and watch some sort of video to help me understand what it's all about. Yeah. Alex has a question. Do you think being a designer has changed how you look at or enjoy games? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I suspect... I guess I've been a designer for like a fairly long proportion. I only got back into, say, modern board gaming, like a year before I started designing. So I don't know if I had that much time where I was just, a gamer and not a designer. So it's hard to sort of imagine a time before how I feel now. But yeah, I think I think it depends on the game, to be honest. But I am more, I guess I think I'm more sensitive to things outside of the game, like components and art and thinking about how to put a package together. And I think I'm also interested from a designer point of view in playing games where you can't sort of tell how the game plays before you play it. I think some games you can read the rules, you can watch a video, and you can kind of get a good idea of what decisions, how you'll feel in the game. But I'm always kind of interested in playing games now that you can't do that, as research. That's why I like playing games where you're kind of surprised. And that's, I guess, why I talk about them a lot when I am surprised, because it feels a bit rarer and rarer, when you just play so many games. Yeah. No, I haven't played Trails, I'm afraid. Yes, I probably should, actually. I have played Avenue, which is from the same designers, I believe, and I think it's not the same, but there are some similar concepts, I think. So yeah, but I should try it out. Oh, okay, you've got the new version of Ginkopolis. Okay, yes, I hope to pick up a copy sometime, or maybe yeah, pick up a copy somehow. Robert says Feld is one of those designers who all these games feel like him. I think it was only Aquasphere that I didn't enjoy. Amerigo and Notre Dame I really enjoy. Yeah, no, that's true. He has sort of maintained a very distinctive style, which is yeah, really quite remarkable, actually, I think. And all the while still remaining, I think, pretty approachable and still having, yeah, just a really distinct approach. So, and that's great. Yeah, if you like Stefan Feld games, then you tend to like other ones. I have to admit, there was a bit of a, I also got Bonfire recently, or sort of when it came out, which was a few months ago now. I think it's unfortunately falling on my pile of. It's a little bit strange. I don't know why it happens like this, but I feel like the ones that Hall Game does, and maybe this isn't very fair, but so Hall Game is one of the publishers that Stefan Feld has worked with. So they've done Luna, or at least the first version of Luna, Aquasphere. They did Bonfire. And for whatever reason, I find I don't like all of those that much. They're sort of in my least favorite Feld games. Not that they're bad necessarily, but they're just not ones I want to sort of come back to. And it's sort of interesting. I really wonder that, I think that tells you something about publisher and developer. I don't know I don't know anything about, I don't have any story that, would make me know, but I think it's, like for example, I'm now forgetting the name of the developer at Alea, but who has worked with Ralph Braun? Is that no? Who the developer was at Alea is. I think that tells you something about the important role. I think there is some it's not a coincidence that I think some of the most lasting games that have felt are from that Alea line. I don't think it was just because by chance. I think there was a real there's a real connection and value that was added by the developer. That's what I'm saying, I guess. And it's not to say that all games are bad developers, but for whatever reason, they've just sort of bounced off me. Yeah. T-Man said Dune Imperium was the last game I played that I really enjoyed. Is that no Dune Imperium? That's not the deck builder, or is it the deck builder? Is that right? Is it a deck builder? The recent sort of card-based Dune game. I definitely like to try that one out. I don't know if that is Dune Imperium, but it would be interesting to see. Still going back through chat. Christian Osby was one of the Trails people. Yes, yeah, and it's done a lot of games, I think. Christian Osby, right? Wait, I'll look up Trails of Tuskana, or Tucana rather, not Tuscana. Yes, Christian Ostby. Like Santa Maria, Escape the Curse of the Temple, Automania. Yeah, lots of games. 57 games. Wow, I didn't realize there was quite that many, actually. Doodle City, Doodle Islands. A lot of stuff for Escape, I guess. Yeah, that's actually why there's so many entries. I can show this. I was sort of looking at all the entries for Christian Osby. And yeah, probably at least, I don't know, 20 of them or 30 of them are for either Escape or Escape Zombie City or something like that. But yeah, quite an impressive sort of ludography, to use the correct word, I guess. Anyway, where are we? Not tried Bonfire yet. I suspect a friend has bought it. Obviously, can't visit them. Yeah, it's. There's some interesting ideas. I think for me, there are some weird luck parts of the game, which for a game of that length is a little bit strange. There's just one particular thing where players have asymmetric boards, but they're only asymmetric in terms of there's like 7 symbols, and you need symbols in this particular order. I need them in a particular order, and we have to collect these symbols in that set order for each of us. And the way you get these is by the symbols are sort of randomly put on a wheel. And it can just work out that for one player, it's significantly more difficult to do that than the other by just pure. And unfortunately, it's a relatively central part of the game. It's not, a bit like Feld games, you can do anything, but you can kind of choose which parts to do. But it is a bit strange that there's just this weird bit of luck in the middle of the game, like real luck, I would say. Yes, I've only played it with 2 people. It was perfectly. I think it flowed pretty well, but it is quite crunchy, I would say, for a sort of condensed package. But yes. Anyway, so yeah, it's not a game review stream, but yeah. Anyway, that's been a sort of fun part. In other news, I guess I'm not sure if I can announce, because I guess it has been announced. I am going to be one of the judges for the Cardboard Edison Award. Actually, they very kindly, Suzanne reached out to me and asked if I wanted to be a judge. I've never done it before, but yeah, so I'll be doing that. I'm not sure if I'll just be doing I think there are sort of 2 stages. One is to sort of the initial sort of judging based on rules and the short video, kind of submission materials, and then from that they cut to a kind of a short list, I guess, and then it's where games on the short list are then played. And I may be taking part in both, or I might just be doing the first stage. I'm not sure yet. Yeah, and I guess, and that sort of prompted a little bit about pitching and playtesting, because a reminder, if you are thinking of entering Cardboard Edison, you know, you've only got about 1 week left, so I would recommend you get on it. Can someone say in chat, have I had a topic about pitching on this stream before? Because as I was sort of saying I should talk about pitching today, I have been quite bad. I haven't kept a list of all the topics anywhere, because sometimes I would do that, or at least when I did the Design 100 blog, I would always keep a list of all the topics I've done, so that I wouldn't, you know, because inevitably I'm sure I'm going to repeat topics. Okay, Jay says not directly, no. Okay, good. Because I know I've been asked a few times as sort of random Q&A questions, but I thought, you know, it might be fair enough to make a proper stream about it. So yeah, that's, and I thought it would fit with Cardboard Edison sort of stuff, potentially. No, you probably can't bribe me. I'm not, I don't think there's really much, I don't know, what do you, I mean, this is something I actually maybe I should know. Like, what do you win if you win Cardboard Edison? What's the prize? Or is there a prize? What do I get if I win? What does it say? Okay, so there's no specific prize, actually. So yes, I think bribing is probably not that good of an idea, I would say. Yes. Well, I guess it would be maybe a little bit. I don't know actually how the judging is done in the first stage. I guess it can't be blind, because you know, I'm actually not sure. I don't think they tell you to make, you know, because I'm kind of used to in the research world, sometimes you have to make applications where you're not allowed to refer to yourself in the application, because they want it to be kind of like double blind, like the reviewers don't know who the applicants are. But I suspect when you're making a video, it's probably quite difficult to do that. So yeah, I don't know how I feel if I know the designer I mean, probably you just say you have a bit of a conflict of interest, and there's so many things you can, I mean, I'm sure there'll be so many entries that if I can't do 1 or 2 of them, you know, it'll kind of work out. Yes, how many channel points for grading? I should add that, you know, like the bribe level, you know, of 10,000 points, however that is. No, that's true. As I mean, it is a very well respected prize, and it's actually quite well known. And I think it's quite well known. I learned about that a little bit too by giving fairly good feedback. I'm not sure if anyone else has entered in the competition. I haven't before, but I heard that you get fairly good feedback from the judges. Sometimes useful, but you actually get feedback. It might not be exactly what you want, or slightly not useful, but I hear that's also a good feature of that, like, even if you don't make the shortlist, you get useful feedback, hopefully. Alex says, I think because there's a video aspect, they asked the judge to declare interest. I mean, yeah, I think if I would, yes, definitely do that. I think that's the most reasonable thing. Alex said, I think I heard some of that happening between the Ludology hosts. I think I've missed that point. Yeah, Jay, definitely go for it. I think I don't think you have much to lose, to be honest. And I think I mean, I guess I'll get to that maybe about pitching, but in terms of competitions, I mean, I think I've said before that in a way they're great because they just encourage you to do the things you're going to have to do anyway. You know, nobody really likes writing rules or sell sheets or, like, you know, overview videos or pitch videos, but you kind of have to do it if you want to sell your game generally. And actually a competition is a great kind of motivator to do that. And it's okay if you don't get it perfect, you know, because you'll get good feedback and you can use that to iterate. And doing the first instance of anything is always the hardest thing. So it's going to be, usually it's a lot easier to edit something that you've already done once or done one iteration of. Oh, I see. So one host entered a game and Gilles had to say they couldn't judge it. That's fair enough. Hal says, we entered Cardboard Edison in the first year, not a finalist. The feedback at the stage was brief, so helpful. Yeah, I guess that I suspect that I actually don't know how many entries they get, but I suspect it probably is quite a lot, especially at that first stage where you don't have to send a full prototype. So yeah, I guess there's probably a bit of, and again, I'm going to learn. I'll try and feedback on the stream to sort of say what it's like and the kind of numbers that you have to do. which might be interesting for people. But yeah, I suspect they get a lot of entries. I mean, they have a lot of judges, but you know, it still takes a certain amount of time to get through everything. Hey Rob, how are you going? Welcome. Made it last. Well, we haven't really started on. I'm trying to channel my inner Ross and essentially try and take as long at the start of the stream before I get around to the actual topic. Let's see if we can get to the hour mark before I get to anything of real import. But yeah, welcome, and welcome to everyone who's joined since the start. Thanks very much for dropping by. Hope everyone well. I hope all the people in the UK are enjoying your snow. I've seen some beautiful photos. And quite sad not to be there and enjoy the snow. Unfortunately, it's sort of warmed up here. I mean, it's not hot, but it's warmer than for snow. This is the important part, Zate. Oh, congrats on the stream as well. Zate is part of a team of the Four Sisters doing craft challenges on the weekend. That was a lot of fun. Oh, hey. D. Jack Thompson, that sounds like somebody I know. Everyone, this is no, hold on, no. Am I David? No. Yeah, don't come by often. Yeah, welcome. Nice to see you. Yeah, anyway, it is. Sorry, yeah, I don't know why when I saw it just I don't know. It just it's the username. Yeah. But what are we? I'm just trying to hold on one sec. Just trying to check something. Work out. Yeah. No. Oh, hey Bess, how you going? Okay. Yeah. So this is David Thompson, well-known designer of and former member of the Cambridge Playtest Group, and great designer of games like Undaunted and War Chest, along with Trevor Benjamin, co-designer of things. We're trying to work on a game together at the moment. Yeah, fantastic. And must be fairly, not too early for you, I guess, in the US, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for dropping by. Jay, getting back to kind of, design competitions. Yeah, I lost the digital files for the own game I was sending. So it only being a video and rules makes it easier. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's good. I think it's a good, kind of bar to get people to do things which are useful, but that's not going to waste too much of your time if it's not successful. So I think, yeah, sounds like I think that's why I appreciate it. And I mean, of course, my starting in games in a way was through a design competition. So I always encourage people to take part because I think it's a great thing, especially if you're a starting designer. It helps you go through that process that you need to do. Yeah. So after all that talk about Stefan Feld. And games. Yeah, so we're going to talk a bit about pitching today. I haven't prepared a snazzy slide deck, so I think if you have questions specifically about pitching, please drop them in the chat, or if there's something you want me to talk about. Otherwise, I will just ramble on as I do. And I guess it's some of my reflections on pitching in general, but also what pitching is sort of like right now during the pandemic, and obviously things are much more virtual. And do shout in the chat. It's like, you've said this before, Matthew. We're bored, So do tell me if I'm somehow repeating myself. But hopefully there'll be some useful things that. One thing I'd sort of, I guess I'll start with the sort of the pre-times. I mean, for me, around pitching, it all came around conventions, and in some ways that defined how I would organize, trying to finish games. Actually, like, it was all around the opportunities to pitch them, so I would always be making sure that I was trying to finish games, for Essen or for Nuremberg or for Gen Con if I was going, and that was really useful. Deadlines are really fantastic. So, like, I guess that's the first part of pitching. Sometimes I think you can feel that like a game design is never done, is kind of that famous saying, and I think sort of a part of that pitching is sometimes feel like, I don't want to have my game really ready, or it can feel like you have to get through all these barriers in order to pitch your game. Sometimes I would say just to turn that around slightly, and nice. I wonder how many times we're going to see this in chat now. Is to turn that thinking around a little bit, and actually setting yourself the task of or setting yourself up that I am going to pitch. Especially like there are a lot of these speed pitching events at conventions, which I think are great. Again, kind of a lower entry barrier. But like entering that several months in advance even before you've actually maybe finished the game, or you don't quite feel that the game is finished. I think that's great because it, again, gives you this little deadline. It gives you that little push to finish a game, or even if it's not quite finished, to sort of say, okay, well, this is what I've got and I'm happy with it. I wish I could have worked on a little bit more, but I'm going to pitch it because I have this opportunity. I think having that perspective, there's lots of, it's a difficult thing. I think there's a lot of advice, which is quite reasonable, you know, like don't waste publishers' time and be respectful of their time. And I'd certainly agree with that. But don't let all of that sort of stop you from pitching in the first place. I think a lot of publishers, if you go in with a generally respectful attitude, even if it turns out that your game isn't quite ready or not quite finished in the eyes of the publisher, I think in 90%, 99% of the cases, that publisher will be quite understanding, and it will still be a positive experience and still be a very useful experience to have gone through that. So I guess that's the first thing I'd say. I think pitching, it can feel like the kind of end stage for designs, but don't let it be something that you never get to, I guess. Don't let it be another excuse to not finish a game. And in some ways, it reminds me of in research, in academia, you have to give talks at conferences. And the funny thing is always you'd have to send in these abstracts for your talk like 6 months before the conference would be, usually, sometimes. And often you wouldn't really know, like you wouldn't have finished the research when you put in the abstract. And the funny thing was that sometimes a great motivating thing was to put something in the abstract which you really wanted to get finished, but you hadn't finished yet. Because then when you get the talk, well, then you have to finish it off because you have to give the talk. And I think pitching can be the same. If you set up a time to pitch at a convention, well, you don't want to show up with nothing to pitch. So, sometimes, in the right circumstance, that can be a great motivation. Yeah, Rory said, knowing when a game is finished is something I struggle with. And I think in some ways, it's hard personally to know that because you've seen the game all the time. You're not an objective critic, I guess. And in some ways, pitching is a great way to get some feedback to that very point. Like, is the game finished? It might not be right for that publisher, but is it considered a finished design that is reasonable at pitching to other people? And sometimes the best feedback, in some ways, you can get is that we're not going to publish it, but we hope someone else does, which sort of tells you, yeah, the game is finished. Keep pitching it. You're on the right track, essentially. Robert says, yeah, a game is never finished, but at some point a final deadline looms. At that point, you can do no more until the expansion. Well, that's true. That's true. But you hope to get it all done. Yeah, but you've got to do something. Robert asks, do you think online pitching will still be a thing after normality return? Lugging demos around Essen and UK Games Expo isn't likely when these events are beyond my budget. That's a really great question. Yeah, so I guess I'll kind of compare the two worlds. Obviously I was talking about conventions, and yeah, my life over the last however many Essens that I went to, obviously not last year, but I think the 10 Essens before that, was essentially taking a lot of meetings. We'd have lots of meetings with lots of publishers. You're traipsing the halls with your prototypes. I didn't have to have any. Some people would have like little carry-on luggage suitcases, like the rolly ones. We never had that much. We have a sort of funny. We were kind of known, Brett and I, because we'd always put them in these if people know Ryman's from the UK, we'd have the clear. I'm trying to find this one. We have these kind of clear plastic Ziploc, zipper kind of, I don't know what you call them really. But all our prototypes would be in these, and we were kind of known for it after a while, actually, because all the publishers would really recognize our designs, and they weren't in boxes, which meant they were a lot easier to carry around. That was a bit of a side point. Anyway, that was life, and it's a very privileged life because actually living in the UK is a little bit lucky in that you have UK Games Expo obviously within the country. Essen isn't that far away. We're also very, very fortunate that because we volunteered with Playtest, that meant that we could get accommodation at the UK Games Expo. And I know in recent years, we would have, I would have started questioning whether to go to Expo because there is unfortunately a bit of an accommodation problem. It's just very expensive for what it is, considering, Essen isn't that, the two aren't, if we had to pay for accommodation at UK Games Expo, that'd be almost the same cost as Essen, which is, it's the way it is, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, and Robert makes a really good point that, that is a very privileged position to be able to go to this. And of course, right now, there are a lot of these virtual things where, and I mean, Cardboard Edison has always been virtual in a way in that, entries are, digital, essentially. You don't have to go anywhere, and a lot of design competitions are the same. And of course, a lot of publishers now are trying to set up virtual meetings, and because there aren't any conventions, etc. And obviously that's great for people. You don't have to travel. There's really no cost other than having an internet connection or tabletop simulator and things like that. And of course, I said on the stream last time that we've just signed a game with Osprey, and I don't honestly think it would have been this quick because in the real time, because I was able to pitch several games via tabletop simulator. During the pitch, I let Anthony essentially save the mod on tabletop simulator so that they immediately had the prototype. I emailed through the rules, and they were able to test several of them a few days later. Now, it's having the time to play test is one thing, but the fact that it's already set up in tabletop simulator for publishers who are kind of used to it can make that a lot quicker, and possibly you get quicker feedback. So I think there are some positives of that experience, and I think in some ways, I think for some publishers they will keep doing that because for them it's also, I think, a calmer way to do things. I know some developers. I was talking with Wolfgang Lüttke of Cosmos, and we had a meeting around it in the virtual lesson time, and we were sort of talking about that. Actually, in some ways, it's kind of nice because even if you do have the privilege to go to the in-person events, the actual, the experience of pitching during conventions is a lot more stressful for everyone involved, even for those who know each other, because it's, you have all these meetings back to back, and you're tired and you're hungry, and you have all this background noise all the time, and kind of having normal online pitching outside of convention times is just a bit calmer. It's just a normal meeting in a normal day. You're in your office, it's a calm environment. Everyone's hopefully well rested and comfortable and these sort of things. And I think that's a big plus. And my hope is that it will still happen. I suspect that now publishers have got used to doing it, that they'll just do both. It would be great if there's any. I don't think there's any publishers who are viewing the stream right now, and they can chime in to see whether that's a good idea. But I can only imagine that actually being able to spread pitching out throughout the year is also easier for them because, they want to kind of hear about games at any time, and having sort of more, it diffused throughout the year is probably a better way to be able to actually critically look at new designs. And it's better to have 100 new games you have to look at over the whole year rather than getting 100 all in a week and then having to, only choose a few. So I think it will still be a thing. I think there are some competitions and things that I think like the Pitch Project, which was that sort of by Jay Cormier and Sen Fung Lim, or maybe it was just Jay Cormier, which was sort of a completely online thing. I suspect that will keep going. I think for not just for designers, but for publishers, in some ways, it's much more cost effective. So I hope it'll keep going. Obviously this year it will keep going, and the longer it has to go, then I think it will become more of a norm for publishers, or at least it can, to have it as an option within the roof. And hopefully it means also right now, I think the other thing right now is, why I'd encourage everyone to take the opportunity to do this, even if it's not sort of perfect in the virtual world, is that I think once you make those contacts, then, it's easier obviously to pitch things just by emailing people, in the future, if you've already made some sort of contact, if you can't go to conventions, if that makes sense. Rory said, okay, this is before about knowing when a game is finished. Yeah, playtesting is usually what throws me. People always have ideas of what they see the game do other things. Yeah, it's always, I don't know, Brett always says this well, and I can't remember, but especially when you playtest with other designers, they'll always give you feedback to make the game that they would make. But that's not really what is important for you, probably, because you want to make the game you want to make. So yeah, it's actually, I think, one of the skills that you develop over time as a designer is how to sort of filter feedback. And it is really difficult. And I know, Rory, we've chatted about it off stream at other times, but the difficulty when you get feedback is to actually understand what is the tester trying to really tell you, because often designers, but even non-designers, will offer a lot of solutions to something, and really what you want to understand is what the problem is, because then you have the freedom to work out the solution. Really, I would say the main thing testing is trying to work out is where are the problems in a game, or where is something missing, or where is something confusing. It's not to propose what it should be, but maybe what it is right now and why isn't that working. And in terms of filtering feedback, it's filtering through to actually understand what is the core issue. Someone might say that, a particular set of cards are too powerful, but maybe it's not that they're too powerful. It's just that the cards they got were, rather weak, or that it was difficult to understand what they did to get the most out of it. It's drilling down to kind of work out what's the root cause of things. But it's difficult, and it does come with experience. And I think it also comes when you find playtesters. Different playtesters have different approaches, and you really the absolute best playtesters are the ones who do understand like what maybe can go past the exactly how they feel, and maybe drill down a little bit of like what was the real cause of why they were feeling the way it is. Access. Oh yes, the plastic wallets. Yeah, quite useful. Yes, the background. I do found the background noise. It's sort of strange. You don't realize until you exit the halls at the end of the day, like how much you had as this kind of like background roar for the last 10 hours. It's definitely not healthy, and like no natural light and things like that. It's really So I hope the virtual stuff will keep going. Nicola talking about testing. It also depends whether the tests have been briefed, which I've mostly failed to do consistently. It's kind of helps folks kind of feedback. I must admit, I'm not. I think it's a very good point, and I think right now it's also quite useful because I think more and more, to get any sort of playtesting opportunities, especially like through these virtual playtesting groups, you're often testing with people you don't know. So I think you need more of those kind of like tools or kind of like formalisms to help the process, because you can't expect that people know each other, or kind of like there aren't any sort of social norms that are helping that process. But I must admit, I'm not one who does it much either necessarily. But I think of course it was different when you have your own playtest group, well, and you put a game in on the table, and everyone knows kind of what you're expecting, or what the playtesters are going to offer, and if that's not what you want, you would say it. But it makes sense, I think, when you don't know the playtesters to do this. Jay said, I try to come up with questions designer when playtesting, but do still fall into the design the game feedback. Yeah, I think that, and it's perfectly fine. You can't, there's a reason we're all designers. That's the way our brain works, and and that's fine. And I do it as well. I will think about new things I would put in the game, so I don't think beat yourself up too much, but if you can throw in bits amongst all that to try and help a designer sort of understand what are the problems or what's not working, hopefully. Robert said, I often feel that when playtesting, I want to be told what the problem is, not what the suggested solution is. Yeah, that's very well put. So I guess those are the first sort of couple of points about pitching. I mean, I think, and I feel like I've said this before, but I think the other sort of thing that maybe doesn't get talked about as much with pitching is that, in a way, I think it's really as much to do with all the stuff around a game as it is the actual game. And what I mean by this is that, for me, pitching, the way I think about pitching is it's, and I hate using the word like networking. I kind of, but it's partly about forming a new relationship with a publisher. I think the chances that the game you're showing a publisher is going to be the game they want at that time is quite small, even if the game is great. So the chance of signing a game is already small, irregardless of what the game is. But the way you kind of increase your chances overall is to kind of foster good relationships with publishers, so that when you have another game, they're happy to hear from you again. They're happy to get another pitch, and you basically get more and more chances to find the right fit between game and publisher, because in some ways it is just an amount of luck. You have to be in the right place at the right time with the right product. Hi Vez, how you going? Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. We're talking about pitching today. And so I think if you view it also as something not transactory, but more in terms of sort of a lasting relationship, I think you can't go wrong. And I think that is a good guiding point. And I think that applies to all the parts of the kind of interacting with the publisher process, like the pitching. So all the way from, initial email contact to, follow-up emails to the actual pitch meeting itself, whether it's virtual or in person. If you keep in mind that, this is somebody that I want to meet now, but I want them to be happy to meet with me again. And that requires obviously like a certain amount of interpersonal skills, and I know that's difficult for some people. And I'd say I think knowing, I think that's a useful thing at least to think about. So that if you know it's something that's usually difficult for you, you at least can think, kind of be aware of that and maybe work at it, or ask someone else to read over an email that you're going to send to a publisher or a pitch, or ask some tips about what's a good way to sort of start a pitch in a sort of way. The more you can treat that like a real relationship, I think it'll make the actual pitch go at the time. I'm sure it'll go better because, people like when they feel like they're being respected. And, regardless of how the pitch does, having that open sort of, that open invitation to pitch again, I think is the much more valuable thing. So I would say like viewing that, obviously it's a bit different in competitions, but if you're pitching to a publisher, I think that's something else to really think about. And to remember it now, you might be virtually pitching to someone, and that's obviously a bit different doing things by email, but there might be a time where you're going to meet that person in real life, and just to remember that, I guess. And this is a really nice community. I don't think, I think I'm preaching to the converted. I don't think, everyone's very respectful here, and that's fantastic. Beth says, does this basically come down to be organized, responsible, and a decent human as much as you can be? Yeah, I think, or is there more to it? I think that's the baseline. I think remembering that's the best place to start, and then everything on that is kind of like gravy. But you've got to get the basic thing right. I think it's just you see sometimes like, for example, there was a sort of a networking event at the UK Games Expo a few years ago, I think, sort of run by they had this designer stream, and I don't know how many designers or people within the industry, maybe 100 or so. And it wasn't meant to be exclusive. I think most designers could go. I don't think it was that sort of close. Hey, how you going, Brad? Welcome. Nice to see you. And at this networking event, there was, I remember that it wasn't a playtesting event necessarily, although, people were playtesting, it was perfectly fine. But you could always see some designers would essentially beeline for publishers just to like pitch them. And I felt there was sort of a bit of a lack of like awareness of kind of that publisher's time and space, but also understanding kind of what the purpose of that event was. And it's about making, starting a relationship with a publisher, or just making a first contact. And if the first things you're saying to a publisher is like, can you see my game? I think you're just starting in a wrong way. Even when you actually have a meeting, as much as we joke about small talk and, as it being horrible, like, I don't think it's a great way to start a meeting if you go, hello, here's my game. You want to feel like that it's not just a transactional interaction, essentially. And I think, that's, it definitely goes back to Bezos' point about just being a decent human, but yes, it's like the in real life version of your classic Kickstarter spams. Yeah, I think you just kind of read the room, and I think, it's something that some people find easier than others, and that's not, we're all kind of built differently for that, and that's fine. But again, I would sort of say if you know that can be an issue for you, then that's something to look at, to work on. It's not just about the actual like technical things about how do I describe my game, or how do I build my prototype, or how do I make a meeting. There are other kind of softer skills that are, I think, just as important. At least it's sort of a building, and like it depends. Like you can be very transactional, but you won't have much of a future in the industry, unfortunately, or publishers won't want to see you again, and that's a bit of a problem. Hey, Zikasama, you have not missed too much. No, we were chatting about failed games for a while, and now we're chatting about pitching. And just, I encourage, if you've got any questions or points, drop them in the chat. I'm sort of freestyling, I guess. We've talked a little bit about, the difference in, the virtual pitching world that we're all in, and whether that will sort of continue. Talking about forming relationships with publishers and being important. How do you mean transactional? I just mean that some designers approach a pitch as this is a transaction. I am offering you a game for you to buy, and it's a transaction to buy that game, or to sell it, essentially, without any sort of interpersonal or personal aspect or relationship kind of aspect to that. It's almost like I just walk up to a shop and just buy something off the shelf or something like that. And I think it doesn't. It's just a poor way. I mean, just like in anything in life, like it's not unique to pitching games. Anyone you're hoping to work with or colleagues, you want to make them feel like they're a human being, and they're not just somebody who's going to give you something or is going to take something from you. I think it's there's sort of say just be a decent human being. You just won your first game of Luck Be a Landlord. Oh, excellent. Oh, congrats. I'll have to check out the streams of you playing it. We might play some more Luck Be a Landlord at the end. I continue to be thoroughly addicted to it. In fact, I'm now, so we had, I'm now coming up with new modes for the game, or like new challenges. So there was already an existing challenge to try and win, but with the lowest score possible, which I kind of won because I won with only one money left once. And now there's a new challenge which I came up today. I've been playing a bit, which is to try and win to get the highest score, but with no more than one of each symbol in your final kind of composition at the end of the game. Anyway, Luck Be a Landlord another time. Zikar-sama says, I have trouble most with sales sheets. Yeah, Bez, so stick around. I will play a bit at the end. It's a roguelike slot machine game, would you believe? So what do you mean when you have trouble with sales sheets? I have to admit, for this very particular thing, I'm not very useful at, because I've actually never used a sell sheet. In fact, no, I lie a little bit. Maybe I've done it once, but I very rarely. I've been in the industry so long that I don't know what sell sheets are. No, I mean, I don't want to sort of sound like that, but I guess when I started designing, they weren't such a thing. I don't know when they really became popular. Maybe it was like 5 or 6 years ago. They became like very much a thing that was sort of talked about in newer designer circles. And I kind of I already had relationships with publishers before that. So, and again, this is why I say build up a relationship. I mean, the relationship was good enough that most publishers, pretty much all of them, they didn't really care. Like, they were happy to just take a meeting with me. Like Iraga, I didn't tell them what I was pitching, because they just knew I would do the work to show them games that were sort of, well suited to them. They sort of trusted me to do that. Which meant I didn't have to make sales sheets. Now, that is a bit of certainly a privilege, and I'd sort of build out the relationship. And I know the expectations are very different now. If you're a sort of a designer that the publisher doesn't know, I think they have higher expectations in terms of sales sheets or videos or things like that. I mean, what pitches to take to focus on when you are pitching? Yeah. So I think it's tricky. I actually don't have a good answer, because I don't know what I would do either. And it's certainly not something, I feel like that if anyone else knows some good resources for this, I feel like it must be something that has either been talked on in other podcasts or elsewhere on the web. Let me think about it. I worry about saying something because, like, I don't want to give advice on something I've never done. I don't think that's really doesn't make much sense. I think you want to show your game. You just want it to be clear. I think that that should be the first thing. Don't worry too much about exactly what you're showing, but make sure whatever you're showing is clear. So if you want to show like the board, make sure that you can kind of like just distinguish that. I mean, I guess, to be honest, maybe the best thing to learn from sell sheets is to look at the back of some boxes, because I think that's actually a really good, like, look at what is probably some good examples. Any of the boxes that do like the 1, 2, 3 thing. So you'll notice on some games that they have like 3 steps on the back of the box, which kind of explains you how to play the game. I think Azul does this. One second, I'm going to try and find a game that might do this. Yeah. Okay. This is a bit of a random example, I guess, which may or may not be useful. So this is Ice Team, one of my games, and on the back you can see they've got an image of the game, but then they have they actually have they have 3 steps, and this is like, I'm sure there's like a name for it, but it's basically, here are the 3 steps to play. You move your bears, you apply the effect of the tile, and then you collect as many fish as possible. So I would say this is a good, like, thinking of this as a sell sheet is a good idea. I think if you aim to replicate something like this, and I think there are a few people who are putting, like Amigo and Abacus do this often, I think if you check out a lot of like back of the box images on BGG, you'll find, I'm sure like Harbor, I'm sure must do this as well. Usually it's for simpler games, but not always. I think that's a really great way to base, like to think about the kind of information you want to so Bez saying Yogi, King Domino. Yeah, I think there's lots of really great examples. And you know, there are kind of different ways to approach the same core concept. So I'd recommend looking at it. But I think this will build up your sort of idea of what's, and I think this is what you want in a sell sheet. Like it's not all the rules, but it gives you, here's the main flow of what you do, what's the goal, and it kind of shows the components. And obviously you have the details of like, I don't know, I'm not pointing at the thing, but you know, you'd have like the details like how many players and things like that. That's what you need for a sell sheet, I would say. In my kind of, again, very limited experiences with it. Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to catch up with chat. Rob says it seems good to also make sure you get a sense of who the publisher is. You may want to know you can work with them as much as the other way around. Yeah, definitely. So that's also the other thing. Like it's just as much like building a relationship as much as them getting to know you as you getting to know them. So yeah, that is also kind of quite useful. And that's, I think that's the other thing is to thankfully there aren't a lot of publishers who are trying to take advantage of people in the industry, but there are some publishers who are better than others, who you know are a bit more responsible than others, and don't be afraid to ask questions to the publisher. You know, like they'll have questions about your game, but don't be afraid to ask them questions. I mean, and even kind of beyond the kind of like sounding out a publisher, what we really like when Brett and I meet a new publisher is that we'll often ask, you know, what games are you looking for, or what are you trying to move into? You know, even, you know, you kind of want to show that, like, you might preface that with some statement which shows that you have some idea. You know, like, okay, we see that you're making this line of, you know, card games. Is that something you continue expanding on, or are you looking into different types of games? So you're showing that you've done a bit of homework, you know a bit about what they do, but you're also asking for information, because actually that can be really valuable as well. Even if you don't have the game that's going to suit them right then if they tell you, oh, we're really looking for, like, we really want some 60 card games because we have this line that's going to launch. That's really useful information to know, and you could work for that in the future, essentially. Bez says, oh yes, in terms of getting to know the publisher, enforcing what the contract is going to be difficult, and it's important you get a sense of how they'll treat the game and what they expect from you going forwards. Yeah, exactly. Contracts can only cover so much, and the way I think about a contract is that the moment you have to, I mean, obviously you should, you know, like, you should do your due diligence on any new contract, but if you ever get to the point where you have to refer back to the contract, like after you've signed it and you're in the middle of development, you probably already have a problem. And, you know, part of getting to know the publishers is to hopefully work with people where you're not going to have a problem with them on that, essentially. T-Bane 6, it seems like a pretty tight tension, kind of contradictory. You don't want to take too much of the publisher's time, which relations require, while also not relating merely for the transaction. Getting business is quicker. Yeah, no, it's true. It is a fine line, and and it's not to say that I always get it right either, because obviously every individual is different, and some of it is just having to try and be aware and pick up signals from the publisher, and some people are better than others, definitely, by being able to tell, like, whether the publisher feels like they're in a rush, or sometimes you can just ask at the start of the meeting. It's just to check, like, how long have you got, like, you know, and I think sometimes the way the publisher will start the meeting will give you a clue as to, like, whether they're very much about business or, but even if you're trying to be, and being mindful of their time is fine. But I think if you err on the side of, like, not racing straight, even if it's just like 30 seconds where you're just saying, hi, I'm X, you know, really like your games. I think this line's really interesting. What are you interested in working on? And just not going over time, I guess. You know, like, if it ends up that you're going to pitch one game when maybe you wanted to pitch two, then I think that's about respecting the kind of time for the publisher, and they'll be fine with that. You can say at the end of the meeting, okay, I understand we don't really have time. I have these other games. I'll have you email you some rules or shell sheets if you're interested in. And maybe they'll say, oh, actually, you can quickly show me now. That's fine. Yeah, I think you just kind of have to read the room in a way, which can be difficult. And as I said, I don't always get it right either. But it's just having these ideas, this thing in, like, being thoughtful of it, mindful of it. Also, you will be sure. So we're talking about sell sheets. You have to be sure what the main hook of the game is. Yeah, definitely. You want to be able to show that if possible. Robin says Senful Moon and Jay Cormier have done an excellent series about sell sheets. Oh yes, okay, I could probably look at that now. Boozle Brothers Designs. I mean, in any case, they're. Oh, okay. Their website doesn't seem to work anymore. Oh, maybe this is going to work. Yeah. So this is the like inspiration publication. They've done a fantastic like steps about that, which I would very recommend. Which I recommend checking out in any case. And I think there is create sell sheets. So there's one which is all about sell sheets. So I think that's great to have a look at. But it's a little bit older, so I'm sure there'll be maybe some updated things. But yeah, just another thing to look at, I guess. Rory says, I'm not an expert, but the big issue I see with sell sheets is cramming all the rules on them. Just because you can submit a sheet of A4 doesn't mean you should. Yeah. If there's a way that you can do it with more brevity, and again, all it's trying to do is to get the interest of a publisher. You know, in the perfect world, it's something to kind of leave with the publisher to remind them of it. It's like a business card. Think of it as a business card for your game. You don't have to have all the details, and you just want to have enough to get the publisher interested in talking to you more or to email you or anything like that. So thinking of that as well, like, yeah, I think it's important. Alex, when I put together sales sheets, I give a component list, an image of the game, and play it about 5 bullet points, the most important points that describe gameplay, feel, scope, etc. Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, I think images are always good. Like, pictures say 1,000 words, and it's just easier to read than even a certain amount of text. It's a bit similar to how we were taught to be good presenters in research, that you know, don't put bullet points on your slide when you put an image, because it's just easier for people to comprehend. But of course, you know, you have to make it understandable if you're not there. So it's a bit tricky. And Rory says, it's tricky to find the balance though. I've seen a few that don't give enough of the game's flavor. Yeah, I mean, my absolute personal thing is I don't like sell sheets, to be absolutely honest. I feel like, but I understand I think to be honest, and it is harder, I think a much more useful thing is a video now. Making a 3-minute pitch video of your game. I think most publishers won't have a problem looking at a 3-minute video of a game, and I think in some ways you have a lot more leeway to show how the game works and to show the game and to give that information in realistically about the same amount of time for a publisher. So I would say that's a more important thing to do nowadays. I don't know. I'm not a publisher though, so you know, some publishers would prefer sell sheets over a video, but I'd say I would guess most publishers would be perfectly fine with a short, you know, 2 to 3 minute video pitching the game, and I think that would be kind of useful. Sorry, Zaxama. I need to start looking to publishers that would be interested in my game. Not sure what companies want a 4X game. So there's a couple of things I can recommend. So Cardboard Innocent, I've said before, they have a Patreon, and at a particular level of pitching in their if you pledge a certain amount of money in their Patreon, you get access to, they have a database of many publishers. So that's one thing. Also, Chris Backey of the Virtual Playtesting Group has also just assembled a, I'm trying to find where it is. He's also like recently made a database which he's currently sort of selling access to. So there's a couple of like kind of things you can pledge at. I know the Cardboard Edison one is cheaper, essentially, but you know, you have to keep pledging for. I'm not sure if anyone has any experience using either of the has any experience using those databases. I'm trying to find, where is it? Very exciting for everybody as I try and find this database thing. I mean, I don't know how, you know, and also just, you know, if you post, you know, you can do some of the research yourself. You know, in terms of like knowing what game publishers would be interested in game, try and look at publisher games that are similar to the game you are or that you like, and look up the websites of those publishers. That's like the first step. And a lot of publishers will have all the details about, you know, pitching to them on their website, or quite a few of them will. So this is the site from Chris Backey, tabletoppublishers.com, you know, and you know, has a dossier with lots of publishers, and you have lifetime access for $50. But you know, as I've sort of said before, you know, and you know, just looking up publishers. So if I look up Alley Cat Games, for example, which I know has a very good website. So if I look up Alley Cat Games, here's their website, and I go to like contact us, you know, a lot of places will have a game submissions. And look, here we go. They've got, and I know I did this because I know they have a very good example of it, but you know, they have their submission page. They have information about what types of games they're accepting submissions for, some details about that, and then a form to fill in to submit a game. So, you know, or other publishers will merely have an email address that you can email. So there are paid options, but also if you're happy to do the work and you don't have to pay money, you can just look. There's often a lot of informational websites, or look on Twitter. Get in contact with the publisher via, you know, social media is another thing. Yeah. Alex says there are a few Facebook groups that do feedback exchange for things like sales sheets. Yeah. So also, I'm obviously not the only form of information. There's lots of things out on social media. Be part of designer groups, and people are generally very happy to kind of share information, share insights, and things like that. This says making a sell sheet is a different skill to pitching in person. I think you need one of those skills, but probably not both in order to get games picked up. Yeah, I mean, if you can make amazing sell sheets or amazing videos, but you're not great at pitching, I mean, you're looking for a way in with that publisher to start that relationship. And once you have a relationship with the publisher, then, you know, usually it's kind of fine because you know how each other works. You know, if you're not great at pitching in person, then they understand that and they're happy for you to just email rules or email a prototype or whatever. Yeah, you just have to be good enough at kind of forming that relationship and getting the information of the game across to the people. Oh wait, I've gone back a little bit. Where am I in the? I've lost where I am in the chat. Goodness me. Jay said, never mind regarding all but published. They don't have the sell sheet info on there. I think. Oh, okay. Was this a different link or something like that? Oh, bye, Rob. Sorry. Have a nice evening. Just, yeah, I'm a bit behind in chat. What's the other one? Oh, Cardboard Edison, I guess I was talking about. Yeah, if you... Okay, this is Cardboard Edison. And yeah, so this is their publisher directory with more than 275, and you can get access by supporting it $2 a month, or you can have a $25 one-time fee to get access to it. So yeah, I haven't used either of them, so I can't, you know, I can't say, you know, what's good or not, but those are the, you know, that's essentially, you know, you're paying for the time that those people have put in, kind of doing the work that you could do realistically of, you know, looking at websites and you know, interacting on social media and things like that. But yeah, I think if you don't know who to pitch to, I would look for games that you like and that kind of fit with the style that are similar to the game that you're working on. It's always a good place to start, I would say. No worries, a pleasure. I hope it is useful. Yeah, but again, I'm only one person. My word is not gospel, so it's just an opinion. Yeah, and keep asking and talking to people. As I said, I think that the community, the game design community, is really generally a very friendly place. And a lot of people are quite happy. Oh, I see. Not great with social media. I'm antisocial. That's understandable. I think there's still a lot of content out there, you know, in podcasts or in blogs or things like that. So I think finding those sorts of information and sort of trawling back in their archives, you know, even if something's, you know, 4 or 5 years old, the industry hasn't changed that much in 4 or 5 years. That, you know, advice like that Bamboozle's article is like 4 or 5 years old, and I'm sure a lot of it is still just as relevant as it is, you know, if it was written now, you know. And I'm sure I'll do it. I check out Bez's stream. Bez or someone, Bez, you're not a mod, unfortunately, but anyway, I don't know how to drop a link, but Bez did an excellent stream about which I only caught the end bit of, actually, of board game design podcasts, things like that. And that can be also a really great source of information. And I'm sure there are people who talked about pitching and sell sheets. So yeah, off the top of my head, Board Game Design Lab, I'm sure must have you know, oh yes, thank you, Zed. Yeah, so check out Bez's channel, and I think it was a few weeks ago, there'll be the thing about podcasts. Yes, the Gospel of Matthew will never catch on. I see what you did there. Yeah, but anyway, how are we going? So I hope that was. Yeah, it was a fun. Well, it was a fun bit that I got into at the end. I know you were doing the first half of the alphabet. Did you do the next half? And I've missed it, unfortunately. Oh, you did the second episode yesterday morning. Okay, well there you go. Everyone, check out Bez's stream. Follow if you haven't already. Bez does an excellent. She has amazing, the most incredible stamina, I think, of any board game design streamer I know, or streamer in general, just being able to stream every morning. Is an incredible accomplishment. Yeah, but go and follow. I'm sure. I think a lot of people watching this stream are already following. But and yeah, if you're interested in podcasts, check out that episode. I will as well after this. Oh, it's the third one. Okay, but there was a lot of blethering. I see. Yeah. Well, I'm sure people you can skip ahead and find it. Think Like a Game Designer is my number one choice. Yeah, that's the one by Justin Gary, right? Of Ascension fame and other trading card games. Yeah, he definitely. I think he's very good at finding guests that I haven't kind of been oversubscribed. You tend to. There are certain guests who appear on a lot of game design podcasts, and they're fine, but you just after a while you've kind of heard what they had to say. But I think Justin Gary's done a really good job of finding really amazing people who haven't just been interviewed that much. And sometimes that's because they're maybe a little bit outside of the board game industry, or in a different kind of world. But yeah, I think he's done a very good job as well. Yeah. So Think Like a Game Designer. Check out Think Like a Game Designer podcast out there. I feel like I'm just shilling things now. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, thanks very much, Bez. Did that show up, or I can't really tell if it showed. I mean, to me, it looked like it showed, but is it gonna? Bez, I can just make you a mod. Hold on. Add new. So. Okay, here we go. You are a moderator. You have the power. Oh, thanks, Sade. What's next? Drinking branded products on the stream. Well, if anyone wants to do a brand deal with me, I don't feel like I don't feel like I am. I welcome any money. We were talking about bribes earlier on in the thing. Yeah, I'm not that famous. I sometimes I'm interested in sort of big YouTubers. There's part of me that is sort of interested in that kind of way of living. And I remember one was doing a breakdown of their income for 2020 and just the amount of money they're making off brand deals and sponsorships and things. And always with these things. And this is what I said a little bit with my looking back on 2020 is you see the end result of a very long process, but it is quite impressive, kind of what money people are making from it. Am I ending this stream? Soonish. Well, probably soon I might switch to playing a little of Luck Be a Landlord, partially to show Bez the game, and to show off my new way of playing it, which is my own style challenge. Yeah. So if anyone has some more questions about pitching, please throw in the chat. Happy to sort of answer questions as I'm playing and things like that. But I'm probably going to be, I tend to, with these streams, the first, I have a topic and we chat, for between 1 and 2 hours, and then I like to play a game or two just to kind of just chill out, I guess. Alex says it's nice to see people like Empire getting Skillshare. Absolutely, yeah. I love no pun included. and I mean they're great people and great reviewers, and I'm really glad that they're doing so well. Actually. What is this Skillshare sponsorship? Well, you'll see on a lot of YouTube videos at the end, people say, and this video is sponsored by Skillshare, and they'll talk about, and NPI has some number of their recent videos have been sponsored by Skillshare. Oh gosh. I'm back. I hope I'm back. Am I back? Sorry, I don't know. yeah, one day I'm going to actually have to get a real computer to do streaming. I think it's sort of weird that sometimes it just freezes up. But actually, I have to admit, I've been very StreamYard's been pretty good for me, to be honest. I haven't had too many problems with it, thankfully. Quick questions for Matt. What is the most difficult game you had to pitch? Ooh, well, actually, the one right now, to be honest. So I was on the stream a bit earlier, well, like a few weeks ago. I was working on a game inspired by Hitman, and it's a game that will have an app alongside the physical game. And yeah, we're at the stage where we can kind of show it to publishers, but it's actually quite difficult because the app part is a code that just runs on my computer, and I haven't been able to make it in such a way that it's kind of shareable. So now we have to kind of re-engineer like an analog way just to pitch the game. We don't ever want it, you know, we want it to be an app plus tabletop. But yeah, we're trying to work out how to actually do that pitching because yeah, I can't like email it to somebody to play it essentially. So I'd say that's the hardest one at the moment. Yeah, just from a kind of like a technical point of view, that it's difficult. And yeah, exactly. If you were able to pitch in person, I'd be able to take my computer and we could actually show them how it would work. Yeah. Oh my gosh, there's all right, good. Which published game of yours did you show to the most publishers? Can you talk about that journey? So in my like looking back on the year 2020, I showed some figures of games, like which games I've showed to the most publishers. I don't know. Oh, no worries, Rory. Take care. Have a nice evening. I'm trying to think because a lot of games. I'm gonna write down that question and try and think of it. I don't have the. I'm trying to look at my. Trying to look at my shelves and see. Yeah, I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, actually. But yeah, I like a lot of games I've shown to like 10 or 12 publishers. So like that's the kind of average number. And yeah, that's actually kind of stumped me. I don't know what has been the most difficult one. Yeah. Yes, best. Yeah, the most or least amount sort of precision. Yeah, that's true. I mean, to be honest, I haven't had any games that have been that arduous a process. I would say ultimately. Sometimes it's just a long process, just because you haven't found the right fit. But it wasn't like some horrible, drawn out process. Like the harder processes in some ways, where I haven't pitched to that many publishers, but the few publishers have seen it have taken a very long time to make a decision. Actually, had a good meeting this morning. I won't say it, but it's looking very close that one of my favorite publishers, who has published a game of mine before in the past, a very great French publisher, it looks likely that they're going to publish one of my games, which had languished with another publisher for 3 years before, like for 3 years basically. And that game, I didn't show it to that many people, but it's just taken a very long time to go through the process. Yeah. That's it. You mean you don't scratch a mark into each prototype after they're rejected from a pitch? That's if I get the prototype back. Like a lot of the time, you don't get the prototype back once you give it to a publisher. No, I'm not. I have the spreadsheet, and I could go back. Yeah, it just required me to actually do that bit of research and kind of work it out, I guess. But anyway, so I'm certainly happy to answer more questions, but I because I am actually addicted. No, I shouldn't joke about addiction, but I have played a lot of Luck Be a Landlord. We're going to switch over and play a little bit of Luck Be a Landlord rather, which is a fantastic game, and I will probably just change the stream settings a little bit. Oh, there's been a patch, or maybe there's been some sort of hot fix, I guess. Let me just go here. Edit stream. Talk amongst yourselves, everybody. Oh, gosh. I have this strange thing when my computer sort of restarts, I can't type anymore. Yep. I'll change that. Okay. So that's updated. Rabble. Yeah, very good. No worries. Yeah, well, good luck, Zahab. Yeah, and as always, get in touch with me at Wise Goldfish on Twitter. Always happy to help out with questions or on stream. So yeah, very open to these kind of things. Great. Look, be a landlord. Unfortunately, I don't have the sound, or at least I don't know how to share the sound, because it does have quite nice, like increasing pitches as you get more and more points, which I realized when I was watching Michael's stream. But yes, unfortunately, I don't have that. I don't have the nice noises. Okay, so for Bez's benefit, I know a lot of other people know how the game works already. So it's a roguelike slot machine kind of deck builder game. And the idea is that you have this slot machine. I'll just skip past that. You have this slot machine, which is a 5x4 grid. And you have symbols, which are essentially it's like a bag builder. So a symbol is like a card or a thing that you put in your bag. And over the course of the game, you're going to add more and more symbols to your slot machine. And every time you spin, you get money. So for example, a coin just gives you 1 money. A cherry just gives you 1 money. But other symbols that you get will get you various amounts of money depending on different adjacencies that happen when they come up, or different sort of combos, essentially. Yes, go ahead and look. So no worries at all. Probably ask your opinion on a pitch video. Yeah, no worries. Very happy to help. Rav says I had a sweet triple coin King Midas strategy going on, which is just insane. Yeah, this is a really I'm currently in stream, Yard, Alex. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the fun, much like a lot of roguelike games, a lot of the fun comes with just you can really have some bonkers kind of combos and things like that. So yeah, so anyway, you spin, basically, it costs you 1 money to spin, you spin, and then it essentially pays out based on the symbols. Then after every time you spin, you get a choice. Oh, there's a tick box. Oh, I see. Good point there, actually. Okay, I'll stop. Let me remove that. Stop screen, share screen. Application. It's weird because it only gives me the option, this little tick box, when it's like a Chrome tab. When it's a Chrome tab, there's a little tick box to share audio, but it doesn't have that option when I are sharing an application, strangely enough. Yeah, so that's a bit, there's that, I guess. Anyway, I mean, it's fine without the audio. But so then you choose a symbol, basically, to add to your bag, essentially. No, thanks very much for trying, Alice. It's no worries. And it gets added to your bag. And basically, your inventory to start with is at least 5 symbols, and you have 20 empties. And you kind of want to always replace the empties if you can. And it's a 4x5 grid, so you're effectively drawing 20 things from your bag. So 5 things you won't see. You can have more than 25 things. So once you every time you add something, it will replace an empty. Once you've replaced all the empties, you can have more than 25 things, but of course you've got less chance of seeing any particular thing on any particular spin. So yeah, and there's all these different combos. I am going to pick some beer because I know that beer can be, even though it's only a 1 coin thing, it can be drunk by dwarfs. So for example, here you can see starting some interesting things. So you have monkeys that by themselves just give them money, but they eat adjacent bananas, coconuts, and coconut halves. And they get money equal to 7 times the value of the symbols destroyed this way. So if you have a monkey, you want to have things that the monkey eats, and then you get more monies. I could also put the sound on high. I might leave it for now. I don't mind not having the thing on. And coal's an interesting one in that it gives you 0, and after 20 turns of giving you nothing, it transforms into a diamond, which gives you 5 for everything. And what we have to do basically is that every certain number of spins we have to pay rent, and essentially if you miss a rent payment, then you've lost. So after 3 spins, I have to pay 25 money, and I have 10 so far. So that's kind of how you win or lose the game. So yeah, that's probably it for the explanation. But Bez, if you have questions, just put them in the chat, and hopefully you'll kind of get the hang of it as I'm going. So I like an early coal because you've usually got enough time. You don't want to sort of put a lot of bad things in your bag, so to speak. The toddler doesn't drink beer. The toddler needs sweets or candy. None of this is very good, but early on, you don't want to necessarily not take. I get to lose say what the win state is basically to get to the end to the 12th rent payment. So they get higher and higher. So this is so I have to make 25 and I pay it off, and then now my next rent is 50 and is in 5 spins, and you go all the way up to the last one is 750 coins. You get slightly more spins each time, but once you've made 12 rent payments, then you win essentially, and then you have like leftover money, and that's your score essentially for winning. I like Rabbit Fluff. Rabbit Fluff gives you 2 money, which is great, and it makes you you're more likely to find rare symbols or like better symbols. So the symbols have different and these are items. So items are things that don't go into your bag, but you kind of always have their effect. I don't mind an egg carton. Egg cartons let you store eggs and kind of get their effects all the time, essentially. Here are some just uncommon sort of gems like copper, which just give you a couple of extra coins, which is quite nice. Cheese gets eaten by mice, but I don't have any mice. I'm going to take a safe. Basically, a safe just like there's a lot of safe kind of items, and when you break them open, you get money. I didn't take the monkey, I guess. I'll take the die. Dice give you sort of this 3-sided die gives you a random amount of money between 1 and 3. Cultists and crabs are kind of interesting as they both want you to have lots of the same thing. So cultists give you more money for each other cultist that comes up, and crabs give you more money for crabs in the same row. We're kind of early enough that I'll take a crab. Maybe we can see if we can get enough crabs and do well. So then I pay off my rent. I have to admit that I think this might be well, not necessarily a loss. So I might take this re-roll thing. So this item means that if I roll less than 2 on my 3-sided dice or less than 3 on my 5-sided dice, I get a re-roll. Strange. Sounds like there's fireworks going on here. I don't think there's anything special. I'm not sure if you can hear that. Sorry, I'm just. How strange. Somebody's letting off a lot of fireworks just quite close to the building. Okay, we already have a toddler. I might skip. We don't have any sweets for the toddler yet, so I'd like to get something better. The Hex of Destruction is quite interesting because it has this chance to destroy an adjacent symbol. So all the hexes are kind of have like a possibility to do a negative effect, but actually you can combo them well because like if you put it next to say an ore, which gives you symbols when it's destroyed, or like a safe that needs to be destroyed, then it could be very useful. So let's try a hex run. Hex runs are always kind of interesting because they're a little bit difficult. So the added symbols don't take away resources. Yeah, exactly. They get added to your bag. And because at the start of the game you have lots of empties, you may as well take new things because that's kind of improving the average quality of your bag essentially. I'm going to take the emerald. It's 3 money just straight up, which is quite nice. Wow, the tomb is also great because when the tomb gets destroyed, you get spirits, and spirits are just really great items basically to give you 4 money. And it's actually a really good game because if you mouse over something and you let it fill up, it will show you a description, and then you can go to a symbol within the description and it'll bring up a new thing. So it's quite easy to kind of work out what's going on in the game. And like part of the fun of the game is just the huge range of symbols and items and combos and things like that. I'll take a wealthy capsule, it just gives me some money. So yeah, the lockpick basically will automatically give me a chance of opening chests. So now you might see this safe might just open itself basically. No worries, Alex. Thanks for dropping by. Have a nice evening. Hope you have a good evening. Okay, so yeah, we just destroyed this ore and got some stuff. I'll pick some rain. Rain goes well with flowers. We only have 1 flower though, and we could take a bee. So they basically, this is multiplying the value of this flower. It's usually 1, but it gets doubled by the bee. We can take some more rain. Maybe it's looking slightly like a flower stream, possibly. Did that just destroy my coal? No, I was taking 20 turns for that coal, and it was about to have transformed, and then it got destroyed. Yeah, that's why hex runs can be a bit frustrating because you're working on this thing and it doesn't do so well. Yeah, well, we'll take the safe. Okay, this is interesting. Lucky dice is a rare item. Basically means that the dice always roll their maximum value, which is really great. So actually, if we can get some more 5-sided dice, Martini's 3 money. I'm basically taking stuff which is, see, this safe automatically disappeared because of the lockpick. I could take another crab because maybe if we get 2 crabs in the same row, they pay off better essentially. Well, let's go in on a hex run. We can take some more hexes. I'm feeling like this run's not going to go so well. So thieves steal money from you, but basically once they're destroyed, they give you 4 times that money back. And because we have a lot of hexes, we have a good chance of destroying this thief at some point. So I'm going to try that. So chemical 7. This sort of destroys itself, gives you a lucky 7, and once you get 3 lucky 7s, they give you 77 money, which is like a huge payout essentially. Going okay, going surprisingly okay. I thought we were having a bit of not a great start, but this fruit basket is nice. Basically means all fruit give me 1 extra money, which is nice. Oh, we lost the cat, but that's all right. Cats aren't that great. Take an urn. We lost a flower. Oh, that's not great. That was our only flower. So we've got all these things that don't do much. I don't have a monkey. Coconuts are really only good when you have monkeys to eat them. I know. They didn't do anything to deserve it. The key is another way to open chests, basically. I'll just take a wealthy capsule. It just gives me 10 money when it's destroyed, which is nice. And I think we just destroyed the thief. Yeah, the hex destroyed the thief, so that was good. So we got a lot of money back from that. Oh, hex just destroyed a toddler. That's all right. The toddler wasn't. So this is why hexes can be actually quite good, because they get rid of quite weak symbols in your bag. They're like trashing things. How many times have I played this? If I look on my Steam, I've played it almost 40 hours. And considering that a single run can be over in 10 minutes, that gives you an idea of how many times I've played it. Yeah, I've played it a lot, basically. So yeah, I know the symbols basically by heart. There are a few items, very rare items, that I haven't seen yet. But actually, as part of the game, I like playing it fast because I just like the flow. This is fun. General Zaroff is essentially a mass murderer because he will destroy any human next to him, even children. He kills toddlers, which is not good. But he gives a lot of money when he kills people. I don't have any people actually, but I will take the 5-sided dice because I have the lucky dice, which means it's a good item. We'll take the candle because the candle gives me more for my hexes essentially. Yeah, I do often just get into a flow state and I just stop looking at the symbols. I don't even know where I'm up to in terms of the rent payment. I just do it by feel basically. I mean, sometimes there's not much you can do. You just make your deck better and better. The joke was kind of fun. It makes these card symbols worth 3 times as much for next to it. But I don't really have many card symbols, so I'm just going to take the void creature, which, if it's surrounded, gives you a payout, essentially. Okay, let's go all in on the hexes. I mean, what will eventually happen is the hexes will start destroying each other, quite possibly. I don't like any of that, so I'll skip. And you can always skip. You don't have to add anything. All of this is garbage. Oh, we lost my emerald, which is quite nice. It's feeling like an okay run so far, but I don't know if it's particularly good. But it's okay. It's going all right. So dwarves drink the beer and the wine, and they give you lots of money for doing that. I'll just take an orange. The orange is actually 3 because we're getting 1 + 1 from our fruit basket. So fruit is quite reasonable. I'll skip this. I'm just hoping these hexes will break open my urns and give me some spirits. Oh, this is kind of cool. Robin Hood robs money. It's like a thief almost. It robs money from you every turn, but then it gives you a payout in the 4th turn. And there are some items that can make this better. I'm actually going to take the chemical 7 because you need 3 7s, and I only have 1 so far. I'll take the yellow pepper. Yellow pepper gives you money if none of the slots are empty. So you kind of wants you to have more symbols, which actually, now that I think about it, is not very good with the Hex of Destruction because it's likely to destroy something. But I should probably take a... all right, well, it's all about the hexes now. This is just a Hex of Destruction run, which can sometimes be a fun thing. I'll take the 3-sided die because it's just always 3. Yep, it's all about the hexes. All about the hex, I mean, they'll start destroying each other. Once you get a certain number, they'll just... And it's actually good because we have the candle, which makes them even more full. So that was great, actually. It broke open the tomb, and now we've got lots of spirits in the deck. So you'll see, like, it broke open the tomb, now we have 5 spirits, which are really great items. I'll take a Hex of Tedium. We'll go completely on the hexes plan. I'll skip this. The candle gives you essentially plus what, like all the hexes items give you 1 extra money. Yeah. Oh, Zareth is back. We still don't really have many humanoids. I'll take the Hex of Thievery. If there's any time it's going to be good, it's going to be now. The piggy bank's not bad. Basically, it takes 1 money off you every round, and then you can like crack it open and get double that. Okay, so this is unfortunately taken some money off me, which is a bit annoying. But that's fine. Oh, we lost a die. That's fine. We're going okay though. Oh, this thing has like cost me quite a bit of money, unfortunately. I've got to keep taking symbols. That's the other kind of funny thing with Hex of Destruction. Like, you really don't want to be skipping symbols that much because it's actually removing symbols almost as fast as you're adding them, essentially. Yeah, which is not what you want to be doing. Oh, we lost 1 hex. This hex killed a hex. Don't want any of those, though. So I'm just sort of looking at, like, sometimes you can tell how well you're doing. You can see how much you're getting, like, per spin, basically. Oh my gosh, I feel like this one has been quite cursed, this game. I haven't done very well. I don't want any of that. Oh, we broke open the urn, which is nice. So I'll take another 3-sided die. It's just 3 all the time. Once again, I lose money on this stupid hex. So we're getting a bit closer. We're on the 3rd last payment. I'll take an apple, which is quite nice. I'll take the black suits, although I don't think I even have any. I have 1 black symbol left. Okay, we lost another hex. So we're losing a lot of symbols. Why am I skipping rather? I mean, it's a good point. I think it's a little bit force of habit, actually, why I'm skipping. But you're right. I probably should just be taking stuff at this point. Because, yeah, they're all going to get destroyed. And my deck actually has 7 empties in it. So you may as well fill that up. But it is a thing that in a non-destroying game that you get to some point where you don't want to add stuff because it will sort of make your deck worse, you know, on average. I should remember that I should take fruit generally because fruit is a +1 because of my fruit basket. I think I feel like this might be the rent payment I don't make it because, yeah, I'm sort of close to, I'm not making enough money each spin. And I can sort of tell. I still have the rain, so I'll take the flower. We might get enough just, but I'm not liking the chances, actually, to be honest. I feel like I'm a little bit behind. Yeah, I need to get 500 on this spin, which is not going to happen in the short place. So I don't have enough. I can break open the piggy bank, but I still don't have enough. So, like, I've essentially failed. So, you know, I essentially failed. so that's a run. That's yeah, that's Luck Be a Landlord, essentially. I might do one more run. So we have a bit of an option that the chat can. So there's a new challenge which I came up with today, and which I think some people on Discord are trying. And it's called the Red Pepper Challenge. It's basically a challenge to end the game, to win, firstly. But to win with the symbols that you have at the end of the game, you can't have more than 1 of any particular type of symbol. So basically, there are a lot of strategies in the game which revolve around getting lots of a particular symbol. But this one is kind of the opposite. You can't have more than 1 of any particular symbol. So would people like me to try a normal run or try a red pepper run? I will wait for anything in the chat to speak. I can click this. Red pepper. Okay, red pepper run. So the interesting about red pepper run is that it makes certain things obviously a lot worse. Like cultists and crabs are terrible because you don't want more than one of them. So things that, but it makes other items quite good. Like it's called red pepper because there's a red pepper item which gives you money if you have all different symbols. It actually possibly makes card symbols a bit better. Yeah, it's just interesting. I might go. It is definitely more volatile in that you can like lose very quickly because if you're just not offered very good stuff early on. But if it gets working, actually, it's quite fun. A different way to play, definitely. I'll take an urn. But you definitely can't skip much early because you're going to be offered some symbols which you just simply can't take. I'll take an item capsule. This is great, actually. An early symbol bomb is really nice. And it's interesting because you don't want to take a seed because there's a chance that it grows into a cherry and then you have 2 cherries. So I'm actually going to have to take that. And I can't take, I'll take an owl. So it's interesting. I think the reason I like it is because there's a lot of items in the game that are just not that good at the moment, but it kind of forces you to play with what you've got. So yeah. But I think I've already got a heart. No, I won't get everything, but I would like some things to feed to. Oh, a monkey is good. I feel like you need a monkey to get this strategy to work because, like, a single monkey and a single coconut, like they can eat a lot of stuff, so it doesn't matter whether you have it still in your deck at the end or not. Red suits are nice because it means that I can take, this becomes 2 at least, which is quite nice. Yeah, ninja's fine. This is an okay start. It's an okay start. Not fantastic, but Mrs. Fruit is great though. So Mrs. Fruit, she's in the new patch. She destroys like very low value fruit, which is usually worse, and then she becomes better. But the nice thing in this mode is that it means you can actually pick up like bad fruit and then like slowly, eat it over the course of the game. I'm going to take the pinata because I've got enough time that the toddler will eat the pinata, give me lots of candy, and then I'll get rid of it. I'm going to take a mouse because there's a chance I get the ninja plus mouse item, which I think is also a good way to win this mode, essentially, if you can get lucky and get that item. I don't actually want to take the ore because there's a chance that it gives me a pearl, but I will take the wine. This is a tough choice. Capsule machine is one of my favorite items. It doubles the effect of all the capsules. And I think it's actually even better in this mode because in this mode you want to take capsules which destroy themselves quite a bit. I don't think I actually have diamonds, so I will take that because it's a two gold thing. I'll take a void creature. It'll just give me some money because it'll show. That's good. This fruit has got rid of my cherry already. I'll take the wine because I'm pretty sure that the dwarf is going to drink the wine by the end of the game. I will take a bounty hunter as well. Yep, so the dwarf got rid of that wine, which is good. Oh, good. We've got a coconut. So now we're just going to wait for the monkey to eat the coconut. And or I could get to the point where see, this is what happens. I'm not paying attention. It's like, oh, you just lost, But yeah, so let's try another red pepper. I mean, the red pepper runs, they're very, I mean, the fun of them is that there's actually, it makes every stage of the game harder because, you can't sort of take everything at the start, and you're more sort of constrained. But it's more exciting for that, I think. Definitely, I'll take a clubs. But it's definitely playing on sort of hard mode, I think. I'll take a lockbox and hopefully. But yeah, I don't think you can skip much at all. I think you have to just take good things. We got it. Oh, Grave Robber's great. I love Grave Robber. It automatically opens up the jars, which is really great. I'll take a coal. I always feel like in this mode taking an early coal is maybe not a good idea because, yeah, that was a pretty bad choice. And this buffing capsule is going to do basically nothing. I'll take a 3-sided die. Do I have a plum? I do have a plum. I will take a shiny pebble because I already have the other 2. Yeah. I'm not getting the feeling of this being amazing. Oh, we do have a. We can take a thief because we have a bounty hunter, which will get rid of this. I've learned that tax evasion does not work with thieves, even though I would like it. I'm just gonna have to take the reroll because basically, if you have this tax evasion, it makes the thief doesn't steal anything, so it doesn't give you any money basically when you kill them. Oh well, we got rid of that thief very quickly. Good work by the bounty hunter. Yeah, I think we've just got to take good income. So we're going to take two gold things when we can. I think. Oh, we'll take another thief. We can farm thieves, essentially. I do not have a ninja yet. All right, this is feeling a little bit better than it was last time. Like getting those few early thieves is like a good bit of extra money, actually. I will take Sapphire. Oh, we're not red suits. The interesting thing about the X-ray machine is it means that ore will always give you rare items, which means you can take at least one ore and hope to open it up, which is interesting. But I don't like any of these very much. I might skip that. Hope everyone's relaxed and well. I'll take a blue bird. Ooh, that is nice. And we have the grave robber. That's really great. Early tomb is great because suddenly we get all these spirits. They're going to give me. We're going to farm a lot of money from that. Do not have a rain, so happy to do a rain. Wow, that really helped out that tomb. Yeah, because all the tombs and things like that are great in this mode because they all get destroyed by the end, so it doesn't matter that you've got lots of copies in the middle of the game. Take a rabbit fluff. These are not great. I'll take the lucky cat. Okay, well those spirits really like bumped us up. Oh, wild card's great. This is fantastic. It just always, it's very rare, so you don't see it very often, but basically it always gives you the maximum value of any adjacent symbol, which is really, really great. I'll take a big urn. More spirits, please. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I can't take any of that, basically. And we finally have, we've turned our coal into a diamond, so very good, very good. Yeah, this run is going definitely quite a bit better. It's feeling okay. It's feeling okay. I think it will depend a little bit on getting. Yeah, I'll take a B. And like flower strategies are quite good normally, where you get a lot of flowers because there are a lot of things that up the value of flowers. But because if you only have one flower, then it's obviously not as good. We do not have a copper, so we can get a copper. Or we can take the buffing capsule. It's pretty reasonable. No worries. Thanks very much, Bram. Have a nice evening. Thanks for joining. None of these are good. I'll just take this. Oh, that was nice, actually. A lot of money. These are all terrible. All right, it slowed down a little bit. Might have some trouble here. Oh, here's this Midas. So obviously Midas is fantastic because he gives you a coin every time you spin, and he triples the value of adjacent coins. But unfortunately, I can't run him in this because it would automatically, mean I have lots of coins, and I would have multiples of that. So he's a very fun item otherwise. Oh, golden egg's great. Do I have a rabbit fluff? I do have a rabbit fluff. So yeah, really nice. Okay, we're picking up some nice stuff. I can take some more wine for the dwarf. Do I have a sapphire? I do have a sapphire. So this wildcard now is going to match the dwarf. I mean, that's why this wildcard is just can be really, really great. Yeah, actually, the dwarves don't drink martinis, funnily enough, but still good. Yeah, I'll take a lockpick. Allows you to take chests and things, which is good. Yeah. I've got all of these already. Ooh, archaeologist is quite nice too, actually. Yeah, let's take the archaeologist. Because the archaeologist is like Mrs. Fruit, but it destroys like low valued gems and things. I don't have a wolf. I'll just take a bear. So the archaeologist just destroyed the low valued sort of pebble. I'll take another beer. I'm sure the dwarf will drink a beer by the end of the game if we get that far. Do we have the egg thing? No. Yeah, there you go. So the dwarf has successfully drunk a beer. It's good. I'll take the urn. No, we're going pretty well. Still alive. We do not have an emerald, so we can take an emerald. I will take the piggy bank. So I should remember, because I have the archaeologist, I can take the lower valued gems, which are usually not very good at all, but the archaeologist will just break them off and then increase their own. I'm getting some quite nice, generally like rare items, which are just worth more, which is really good. Do not need any of that. I'll take the urn. Yeah, I don't think we have an apple. I seem to have been offered quite nice stuff generally, I would say, in this run, like kind of early. Some sort of, you know, when you get enough of these sort of rare, like 3 money items, that also makes this, because there's a lot of different ones, but you might not get offered them at all. So you just have to kind of be lucky to get them. Okay, I just made it. This is me not noticing. I'll take the bartender. I'll take the lucky 7. So you've got to watch out for this bartender, because he might actually add. He could add a martini. It was actually a little bit risky for me to add the bartender, because if he adds another martini, I won't have a way of getting rid of the martini I already have. So yeah, maybe that was not a good idea. I'll take a thief. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on that and check it if I get to the end. I'll take all the books. Skip. So yeah, there's what you get to a certain point in the game, and there's just a lot of skipping, especially because you can't take a lot of the items for this mode. I think I already have a topaz. Yeah. I feel like this is the time we might hit a bit of a wall, unfortunately. But it was a good run. It was a pretty good run. I have to get to 450. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna. Well, that was lucky actually. I just killed the thief right then, which I think is. I can open the piggy bank. I just have enough. Okay, we're still in it. But yeah, we're definitely getting close to. Oh, I'd love to take the beehive, but it has this chance of adding symbols, which I already have. Well, this doesn't really matter. Yeah, we definitely have to get more urns. Urns are great. Got to wish for more urns all the time, or more lockboxes and things as well, actually. Or we could hope to get another chemical 7, because that will also essentially possibly give us items. No. No. It's a bit late for the monkey. I could take the monkey. Yeah, we're not making enough, unfortunately. So I think this will be it. Yeah, I need 170 in 2 spins. Unlikely to happen, I think. I mean, if I keep doubling up something with that, if I get the wealthy caption next to the wild card, well, maybe, but I don't think this is enough. Yeah. That is it. That is it. So there you go. That's the red pepper mode. Definitely hard. I have done it once, but it is definitely harder. But yeah. Anyway, that's it. We're about 2 hours. I think that'll do. But thank you everyone for joining. And hope the little game. I still really love Luck Be a Landlord. Would recommend. Yeah. So let's go and raid someone. For those who are going to stick around. We could raid Paula Deming. Any other suggestions from the chat of people we could raid? Sort of open to different options. Otherwise, we'll just go to Paula. Okay, that doesn't seem to be. Maybe everyone's lurking. That's fine. Well, anyway, let's go and check out Paula Deming. But thank you all again for joining. Looks like Paula's playing Potion Explosion, so that'll be a bit of fun. Hope everyone has a great week, rest of the week. I'm back on Wednesday morning for my board game cuppa, Game Design Cuppa stream. So that's at 9 a.m. GMT or 10 o'clock Central European time on Wednesday. So hope to see some of you then, or back at the normal time on Friday afternoon/evening European time. Great. And until then, have a great week and see you all later. Cool. And yeah, for those coming to the raid, let's go. Thanks very much, Fez. Take care. All right. Let's go. Oh yes, sorry. I should say yes. I'll be on Bez's stream tomorrow morning. So see you all there too. All right. Bye.